Hello everybody, welcome, hello, thank you for joining us here on Chaosium's Stream of Chaos in what is very clearly a significantly diminished cast. Oh dear. Don't worry, they'll be back, they're coming back, they're away on a lovely trip across the other side of the world, and we will be, not actually that far, they're other side of Australia.
I actually have no idea where they are. You can tell Jackson isn't here though because you didn't have your thing muted. And he normally tells
He's there to tell everybody. You're right. So we are without Jackson, we are without Rachel. Do not fear, they will be back next week. In the meantime, we're going to use this opportunity to dive in great detail into the new character that is going to be folded in after the somewhat disastrous events of The Devil Eats Flies, which could be summarized. How would you describe the last session in a single word?
Shit show, which is 2 words, but there's a hyphen.
All right, yeah, fair enough. That's, compound word, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we are going to be jumping in. We're going to be introducing David's new character, who is called
Klaus.
Excellent. But first of all, let's do our standard introductions that we have been so thrown off from. My name is Jamie. I am the keeper for this game on the Stream of Chaos, Chaosium's home for Call of Cthulhu Twitch streaming online. And over here is...
I'm David. I am the one and only player. I'm wearing a black shirt and a black background.
Clever idea. Yeah. All right, fantastic. So today we're going to be continuing with our story of Berlin, the Wicked City. Last session, some very bad things happened. An investigation went chaotically wrong, as they are often prone to do in Call of Cthulhu. And unfortunately, David's character was not killed, but sprouted extra legs, went insane, and ran off, vanishing into the seas. Yeah. Never, presumably, to be seen again.
It's not the standard, necessarily. But it has happened,
unfortunately, frequently. Yeah. That is true. So we're going to jump in with your new character, Klaus, and we're going to figure out some of the details that have come, to lead them to where they're going to be when they rejoin the investigation, they rejoin the rest of the players, and they dive back into the main adventure. Yeah. So, first of all, can you give us a brief description of your character? What do you think you look like? What do you think their deal is? Remind everybody who didn't see you create the character the other day.
So I'm playing Klaus, and because we've kind of done some previous investigations and stuff, Jamie has let me choose an experienced investigator package. So I have taken...
Watch yourself, or I'll take it away.
I have taken... I'm a core student, or corp student. I think it's core. I don't think it sounds the ps part of it. Which means I was part of the sort of fencing club, I suppose, when I was at university. I'm hella educated. I got 90. And what this means is I was part of this club where they take razor sharp swords and they're kind of flexible. They have a whip to them, and you strike at one another, and they wear guarding over, and this is all the detail I got out of the book, I just nicked it. They wear guarding over the eyes and sort of vital organs, but it isn't really a test of dexterity as much as it is a test of bravery. So they'll whip these things at one another, and then if you flinch or yield is to lose. And so he's got a series of scars. I've reduced my appearance by like 3d10, resulting in 28.
Oh my god.
And I've got my stats up here since there was so much extra space so we can see what I'm good at. But he's really, he's this sort of scarred man. He has a slightly twisted look to him, sort of cuts along the lips that have been sort of recurled into scars and aggravated tissue. Sort of plain eyes, each one sort of slightly open and rather tired looking. He's not an attractive man, but he's quite sort of fit or confident in his manner. He dresses in sort of like a fairly well put together suit, although it's a little thinning, I guess, because like even those with money are suffering a little bit.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to get it sort of renewed or anything.
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, everyone has to suffer here, so I'm putting in my
good on you. Fantastic. That's a great description, and a very interesting sport to be a wild practitioner of, but no matter, we will continue along, and we're going to be telling a story of how you came to be wrapped up in all the affairs of the mythos. This is going to be your first encounter with the mythos at large, and it's going to be set a couple of years ago, or how old is your character?
I'm 37.
Okay, this is a while back. This is a few years ago, and it's going to be just after the war.
Yep.
And things are sort of beginning to settle down in Berlin, moving into a whole new system of chaos and all kinds of new weird things that are happening on the street that citizens have to deal with. Exactly, you know. And you, in the meantime, have gone out, and you've actually, in the outer suburbs of Berlin, you were going up. You were probably in the war yourself. Did you serve actively in the war?
I'm reasonably wealthy. I have like a credit rating of about 60. So, and I'm very well educated. I think I would have probably gone straight into like fast tracked into being an officer or something.
That makes sense to me.
And he's a confident guy. So yeah, I think I would have served as an officer. For a time at least.
Yeah. All right. Well, you managed to escape relatively unscathed, but still you would have probably spent some time recovering. Maybe you were taken out with a minor injury, which is why you were never saw too much action.
I wasn't in trenches. I wasn't, fighting and charging lines or anything.
Okay. All right, well, fantastic. So, all the same, we're going to say that you are now coming back, and you are now in the process of gradually meeting everybody and getting back to know the people that you sort of knew previously, and catching up with everyone at the end of the war. We're going to be running a campaign from the Call of Cthulhu starter set. Now, this campaign actually is it has a generic setting, so it could be played anywhere. But we've decided to adapt it using the Berlin sourcebook to have it set inside. Germany, inside Berlin.
Yeah.
So without further ado, let us dump in and jump in rather.
Yes.
Dump in would be very different. Let's not do that. Jump in and get started. So it is a pretty warm summer. Mm-hmm. You know, you're moving about. You're getting used to everything again. You've been having a good time since you've come back. But the city is very much in disrepair. There's some sadness in the air. A lot of your friends, people from the same corps that you're in, probably have died in the war. Yep. And you're feeling a little bit isolated and a little bit alone. And as such, your family have kind of turned to you and have tried to get back in contact with you to try and, foster some kind of relationship and make sure you're okay. Do you get along well with your family? Do you have any thoughts of what kind of family your character would have?
Yeah, I get along fairly with my family. I think they're not my significant person. So I don't think they are, like a driving part of my life, but nor are they a hindrance on it. I reckon it's probably a mother and a father. An older brother who I think was more active in the military and served on sort of like took pride in his military service. Okay. Whereas I more followed into it and didn't need to. And then maybe a younger sister who's going through university now, quite a significantly bit younger, probably born just before the war or sort of around that. No, they'd be significantly younger.
Yeah,
a bit before. So
okay.
16, 17 now, maybe.
Okay, right. Are you pushing her to go into the corps?
No.
Yeah.
I think I have some sort of older version. I think it's a male-only thing, so that's not mine to say. That's part of the club.
Yeah. All right.
So probably not, but I would push her to pursue, find something that she's really attached to.
Okay. Well, the only major element that I want to that I'm going to push onto your family is that your mother has a brother, someone that you are loosely in contact with. Your mother's maiden name, if you'll permit me to create one for you, is Kimmer, Kimmer, and the man in question is called Otto Kimmer, right?
Yep.
Now, Otto was a very nice man. You probably have some fond memories of him from when you were a kid. He was very, very, very well educated, although he was very quiet. He never really went out much. He had a little bit of difficulty getting along with people, which perhaps, not because he was mean, just because he was so retiring, because he was so panicked. Your energy as a child probably was enough to fluster him and get him very upset. But he had a huge collection of books in his house. He was a very nice man. He was a very open man. And he'd always be sharing his knowledge with you and stuff like that. So you probably have a couple of wonderful memories of spending summer at the Kimmer household and, tearing through his libraries and stuff like that. Do you think your character is particularly into fiction reading, or are you more of a serious person?
He's not.
You read a lot because you're well studied, I presume.
Well, I'm well educated. I don't think I think it kind of wrote through. I mean, my occupation, whatever, is athlete. I think I'm more like a scholarship cruise through and amassed a few degrees. I basically spent quite a lot of time at university.
Well, that absolutely makes sense, because education doesn't just mean you're like how educated you are in degrees. It can also mean how well trained you are. So you are a top trained athlete.
Yeah, and then I think I would then have gone on to do sort of. Because I mean the Olympics and stuff were around that sort of period. Like I probably wasn't at it, but I probably had a chance to get into it, and then ended up falling into a training career and stuff. So not like a book lover, but I certainly had to study quite a lot.
Well, the Olympics are going to be starting back up, now that. But you're probably a little old now. I'm afraid.
I can train someone for it.
No, exactly, absolutely, good way to get money.
I'll bring in the next.
Generation, the next tier.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. I was thinking tier, but that just implies they're not as good as me.
Well, of course. All right, fantastic. So you have some fond memories of Otto Kimmer.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, just before the war, Otto went missing, and it was never really figured out what happened to him. It was assumed that he died. A couple of years later, his house was still sitting empty, so it was eventually moved into by his son, your cousin, a man named Thomas Kimmer. Thomas is a nice man. You probably knew him. He tried to be an athlete too, but he failed, unfortunately. And maybe there's a little bitterness between you because of that. He went into finance and has done quite well for himself since.
Weak.
Fair enough.
Well, isn't our country in incredible debt? And
yes, you are right.
Finance is sort of what managing the buckets of
exactly.
Marks needed.
There's some problems there. Finance is doing your best to distance yourself from what is happening on the streets and trading mostly
moving overseas.
Yeah, exactly. But Thomas is still here, and as the family begins to get together, one evening, as you're all sitting around, you've met at a cafe to eat with a couple of family members and catch up, a topic of conversation came up, and Thomas mentioned that he was considering hiring someone to work as a private investigator for him, or as a bodyguard. And you pressed a little bit just because you're curious, you're an outgoing person, you wanted to ask a couple of questions. And Thomas told you that his house has been broken into a couple of days ago. And he's pretty concerned. He hasn't spoken to the police because the police have so much to deal with, the chaos on the streets. There are really serious things happening. The person who broke into my house, they didn't smash a window or anything like that. They managed to jiggle open a lock or something, or come in through an unlocked window. And they only took a few things. Just a couple of my father's old books, but I'm a little distressed about that, and I'm worried they might come back. I'm hoping that there's someone who can, it's probably just street kids or thugs or something like that, maybe veterans who don't have a job, and I'm concerned that they're going to come back. I don't feel safe, I don't feel safe in my own home, which is terrible.
Why would you contact someone else?
Well, I'm busy. I don't have time to go gallivanting around.
No, you're here with family. Would it not be suitable? Why would you not ask us first?
No, you're right. I'm sorry. That's very rude of me, Klaus. I know you just got back from serving. Would you be interested? I'd pay you, of course.
No, I'll not take money. I'll only see you safe.
Well, that's very kind of you. I admire that, and I can see the many virtues that put you in such good stead during the war. If you could help me, I'll at the very least let me. You come out. You can travel to my home. It's in a nice part of Berlin. I'll put you up for a couple of days. You can relax. You can put your feet up. You can rest. You can stroll in the gardens, and you can make sure that if anyone does come back, or if you spot anything,
they'll be dealt with.
Well. I will leave things in your capable hands. So enthusiastically, Klaus, you decided to take up this gig. Within a couple of days, you were packing your bags and getting ready to head over to the outskirts of Berlin, where you were going to take up residence in this house and try and figure out what was happening. Where do you live, first of all? What kind of place do you think you have? And what would you pack if you were going on a small trip like this?
I think we have... I presume there's suburbs or
absolutely. There's large sprawling suburbs that
I live in the burbs.
Fair enough.
If you will.
Yep.
I think I have a like a small home, personal one. Not like no, I don't think I inherited from my family. I worked. I owned it. I purchased that a little while ago when I wasn't on an upswing. I think I'm currently now a little looking for work, so this isn't a bad thing. And I'm not going to take money. I'm moving along. I'm working up investments rather than current income. The athlete, it's a gig-based economy. You got to find work.
Absolutely.
So I have like a nice little area. Before I go, I will get a small suitcase. I will pack it with a couple of changes of clothes, pretty basic stuff, and then I have a long leather carrier which I keep my foils in. I don't know if they're called foils in this one. Foils are fencing.
Foils are for fencing. There's unless I'm
more whippy.
Well, unless I'm mistaken, the three schools
flat.
of fencing are foils, sabers, and épées. So foils are the standard, what you think of, kind of what would look like a modern rapier.
Yeah.
Sabers are quite they're chunky. I know all this because I have a friend who's a dedicated fencer and who makes. Well. Yes, he is. He essentially your character.
Yeah, basically.
And épées are the whippy ones that I think you're thinking of, and they're meant to be the most technically complex, although they're not as popular. If I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure. I googled it briefly, and now I'm looking at World of Warcraft axes, so I don't think that's right. So I think I have that, and it's in like a little leather case that I carry with me. I'm not paranoid by any means, but I think I'm a very. He's a kind of an intimidating guy, and he's not. He would prefer someone see him and be intimidated and just not.
All right. Okay.
Try anything. Whatever it is they were thinking of doing. I'm the kind of guy that got his officer's uniform and wears it a little too much.
Okay.
Like if we're going to a nice event and I think I can maybe get attention or people to... he doesn't like scaring people, but he rapidly earning respect.
I see. Okay. You like being serious towards people.
Yeah, and I like people being serious towards me.
No, that makes sense. I like that. I think that makes a lot of sense. So let me ask you this: are you coming to this place, bringing your weaponry with you, with the intention of, I'm going to train there, or is it more, there's someone around, I kind of feel comfortable with?
I'm like. It's kind of the second one, but I don't think he seriously thinks something's going to happen. It's like, I bought a border sword. I'm going to have it. It'd be silly if I get there and something attacks me and I don't. Wouldn't it?
You absolutely want that. Also, thank you very much, wonderful Luke, for subscribing to us. That's amazing. And we know Luke very well. He has been on this stream before during Roll20Con, which was a lot of fun. So thank you for the subscription. And in our grand tradition of things, I guess you pass someone on the street called Luke Mammoth. and don't intimidate them, but you're very serious towards them, and they're immediately very serious back to you.
Yeah. I was remembering Luke's professor when we were playing a scenario and he stole someone's liquor. This is like an educated man there to lead us fellow students. Stole someone's liquor, talked shit, took his gun, and then just threw it into the woods. It was good. It was a great session.
The man was, I think it was warranted.
Oh, I think it was. He was a dick.
Anyway, thank you very much, Luke. Let us continue on.
Yes.
So, as you're continuing on, you're moving through Berlin, you're gazing out on the streets, you can already see the beginnings of this, gradual downturn that is going to happen. There's already a lot of shops that are being boarded up. You can see veterans begging on the streets. Already things are starting to look like they're in the midst of this sort of slight downturn, but you're trying not to focus on it, and as the train gets further and further out of the heart of Berlin, you find yourself moving steadily away until at last you're in a lovely leafy suburb on the outskirts. You descend at the station, you begin to walk through the city, and you arrive at the address, which is in a small cul-de-sac, like a little dead-end street, and it's the only house there. It's quite large. There would normally be 3 houses in this area, one on each side, but the entire building. He's brought up all three and he's put them together. There are a couple of other houses dotted around, but the rest, it's that thing at the edge of the country where you begin to get that more...
Yeah, where people have a bit more of a backyard.
Exactly. There's larger stretches of land. There's a couple of community gardens, the kind where horrible things happened in the previous session, not too far down the road, but there's a lot more space here. And also there is a large public facility that takes up a lot of space, specifically a graveyard. An enormous public graveyard right next to the house, which probably meant it was a bit cheaper, fair enough, which extends quite far, and you kind of look, there's number 21 is the house, number 22 to 116 is the graveyard that continues far.
I think it's like, because it was like a bus or something to the bulk of it, and I had to do a little walk
with
the last leg.
But yes.
Yeah, I like that sort of image, because once you're getting out into the countryside, is it a nice day? It's in summer, right?
Oh yeah, it's a hot day, but it's very nice.
I think he's kind of got he's got his bag in one arm and the little leather with his foils under. He's taking his jacket off and he's holding it unfurled, sort of like birds and stuff in the distance. And he's got a little piece of paper where a rough map was drawn by the cousin, and it's that sort of like, the beginning of such a wonderful summer.
I love it. Nothing's going to go wrong.
He's looking forward to it. Yeah, he's getting here, and I think he's put at ease a little bit, because this isn't the target. This isn't in a city where so many people have been tensions rising politically and everything else, where people are being attacked for different things. It was probably just some local youths.
Absolutely.
He's kind of put at ease.
It's what everyone suspects.
Yeah.
We've gotten a question in chat from Brothink. What time period is this set in? This is set during the 1920s. This is from the Berlin, the Wicked City source book. So this is set in Berlin after the war, and we are introducing the character of Klaus before he rejoins the main campaign, since David's last character was murdered by me.
I wasn't murdered yet.
Yes,
conspicuously absent.
You're very right. Just sprouted extra legs and went running away.
Whee!
So you arrive at this house. You let yourself in through the front gate. You're immediately greeted. Upon sort of walking to the door and knocking, you hear immediately this loud barking dog immediately, and you start thinking, oh good, at least there's some kind of defense. And then Thomas, your cousin, opens up the door and hello, and the dog is about this big, tiny, nipping around his ankles, going yip 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 yip. It's got quite a deep voice, which maybe fooled you for a second, but it is the size of your hand, really. It's tiny. He kind of smiles and says, please come in. Sorry, make yourself at home. Of course. Ushers you in. He gives you a spare bedroom. Basically, one of those entire houses, essentially, because he's bought 3 houses and put them together, is entirely for you now. It is the one that his father actually used to spend most of his time in. He kind of sends you through, gives you time to sit down, unpack your bags, tells you that he has a meal prepared. But of course, I can give you a tour if you have any questions.
Give me a moment to unpack, and then yes, I appreciate a tour.
Okay, certainly. He lets you go, walks back to sort of his part of the large set of houses, and ends up. You have the room to yourself. It's a nice room. It probably was a master bedroom for the whole property at one point, probably when it was owned by Otto, so you would suspect this is Otto's old room, although you can't quite remember. You wouldn't have spent time here personally. There's quite a large bed. There's a huge walk-in wardrobe, which is completely empty.
Yeah.
Apart from a couple of crates at the bottom, which appear to sort of contain linens and stuff like that.
Because this dude just went missing, didn't he?
He just vanished. But Thomas has been living here for quite a while, and he's packed the house. He's moved things.
I go into the room and I've got my little case and I pop it on the bed, open it up. I don't know what I'm expecting to find in there, but it's all there. And then I'll take my jacket off, set it aside, and sort of stand by. I'm an urban guy. I don't really get to see the rural sprawl. So I think, is there one of those floor to ceiling windows kind of things that looks out on
absolutely, and it looks right out across the graveyard.
For fuck's sake!
There's some lovely trees there, absolutely, but it stares right out across the graveyard. There's a low wall which sort of reaches up. You're on the second floor, reaches up just to about the first floor, and then you've got this great view of these pathways. It's beginning to get a little into evening now, so there's this glorious red sunset which has bathed the thing in blood-coloured red. It's actually quite pretty. It's not a sinister graveyard. This is a pretty major metropolitan
it's got little ivy bits.
It's nice.
I sort of stand there. I'll take my jacket. I'll roll my sleeves up as I'm looking out on it, and then sort of Good. I'll head into the bathroom, splash a bit of water, and then I will go and meet my cousin to have a tour.
Okay.
And possibly dinner.
Okay, fantastic. So you meet your cousin. Thomas is very happy to have you here. He has a chat. He pours you both a small drink and, cheers, and the two of you walk through. He begins by showing you his area of the house, which is quite well maintained. It's a little bit fancy. It's
like posh fancy, or just like people, because there's people that like they slather it with expensive things, and there's other people that just are well off and everything there is nice.
No, he is unfortunately of the former camp.
Yeah.
He's gotten quite a bit of money recently, and having moved into what is this large mansion that used to belong to his father, he's gotten quite a bit more. So this area is a little kitschly decorated. It is, but the type of kitsch that they're sort of leaning into at this period, it's the beginning of the beginning of the Art Deco movement. So there's a lot of like what we would consider antiques, but at the time are brand new. And there's all this, exactly right. And there's lots of faux gold, lots of real gold, lots of liquor cabinets, a large radio towards one side, paintings everywhere. There's some musical instruments. You are pretty sure Thomas does not know how to play at all, but he has like a whole music room on display. It's nice, and are you susceptible to this kind of kitsch? Are you going whoa, or are you sort of the latter camp?
No, I don't think so. I think it's also this is not my style. I'm more of a practical guy. Although I guess he does have that presentation. If I'm susceptible, I'm not aware of it.
Okay.
And I think it's also, now that I've gotten here, have you had that where you meet up with like a family member, like a cousin or something, in a family circumstance or at an event, and you get on fine? I just realized I've committed to like a week or so of staying here, and I'm like, maybe we actually
don't have it.
We haven't really hung out since we were young.
Exactly that, right. And he walks through. You probably have in your home, because you are you were an athlete. You are an athlete, like dedicated to sort of your trophies and uniform and stuff like that, or something. A small area.
Yeah, I have like old boxing gloves and stuff.
Display cabinet. He has a full room just dedicated to his sporting achievements, which is 3 or 4 times the size of yours.
Participation medals from floor to ceiling.
It's not great.
Classic trophies.
Yeah, exactly.
Go inside. It's just a look around like.
Yep. It's this.
And you earned all these.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Back in my day, you and I, we're the athletes of the family.
Yes. Yes. I gotta look around. What kind of sports?
I think he probably fenced as well. Dropped out. He's given a shot at everything. He played every sport long enough. Yes, every sport long enough to get one participation medal, and then left.
And for his parents to buy him the kit for it, and then be like, I don't want to do horse riding anymore. I want to do something else.
You are exactly right. Perfect description.
Do I have riding? I do.
You do, excellent. He would probably not have a stable, unfortunately, in this part of Berlin. But well. The third house, the one that you haven't been to yet, is set up,
and they're connected.
They're not. There's no tunnels or anything, or like bridges that go to them. But there's like. They're all within the same walls, and you go out and you stroll through the garden, and you get to.
Okay, so it's like a series of little cottages, rather than like. Okay, I was picturing like the Pongy style where they cut a house in half.
No. It's more of a series of houses.
Okay.
If you think of like, exactly.
Okay.
The third house, the one you haven't been to yet, is very clean. It is impeccably neat, and it is set up as a variety of artist studios, right? This is essentially what you could think of as a hobby house. Really, there's the bottom floor is entirely done up if someone wants to paint, or if someone there's a large car parked in what used to be sort of like a sitting room, but has now been like converted into a garage. Yep. He's a dilettante, he has the money to do these things. The second floor, he doesn't offer to take you up there, but he says he'll say casually and sort of gesture up towards it. On the second floor is all set up apartments and rooms in case I ever decide to have a family. I figure I'll have a space to work and I can return here, spend time with them.
Right. Where was the actual? You said windows were broken.
No windows were broken. That's just the thing. But I'll show you where the break-in was. Okay. Might not be the right word. Just near where you were staying, actually. And he turns around, and it's the cul-de-sac is just him. So he walks straight out the door of the house through a large gate and crosses the road. Opens a second gate, and you're back in the first house that you came from.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of clear opulence on display. He takes you up a set of stairs and into this large hallway adjacent to the room that you were staying in, and walks to the end where there is kind of a small door just next to the restroom that you use. He opens it with a key and swings it open, and you are greeted by a completely different style of decorating. This is clearly Otto, and in fact it's Otto's study. It's a small room, probably about 3 or 4 paces across. There's a small desk at the side. Usually, if you picture study, you've got the big opulent desk. The desk here is actually really, really tiny. It would only ever be used occasionally to read, to sort of write the occasional letter. What dominates the room is this massive, beautiful red satin chair set off to one side with a little footstool pomp. There's a table next to it that it has like a lantern on it, and a little area where you can see stained wood where a lot of glasses of sort of wine have been placed. And there are just books everywhere, floor to ceiling. Every wall is full bookshelves. There's a little ladder that you have to slide along, and then these bookshelves These bookshelves have begun to overflow. There are piles and piles and piles and piles of them, literally stacked everywhere. And then at the back there is a window with sort of a faint, thin satin or some other kind of see-through material that lets a little bit of the sun come in, and it looks over the graveyard from the same angle that your bedroom does. He walks over to the window and says, I presume they came through here. I couldn't be sure. They might have gotten in somewhere else, but this is the only place where things were stolen. And he points around, and as you look, you can see that on several of the bookshelves, there's like a distinct missing volume, right? About 8 or 9 books have been taken. He points to them individually.
Was the window left open?
No, window wasn't left open, no.
No. Is it locked?
Well, yes, and he sort of pulls back the blinds and shows you, and the lock is like this old little wedge that you just slide in, and before your eyes he like rattles the window a little, and he can get around it, and he says this can even be done from the outside, I'm sure.
Well,
why would hoodlums want to steal books? It might be good for them, they might stop stealing after they've read them. I know some of the tribe that my father read, it might only encourage them.
Whoever took this must have known that the books were here. It was pointed, right? Did your father... Did he make any... Did people not like him here? Anyone that would...
He kind of laughs. I suppose my family have had their difficulties with people here. We're not well liked. Can you make a psychology test for me as she says this?
What's my psychology? What's base? 10%. Hot damn. Ka-chow. Fuck, dude, that's a 10.
Oh my god, well done. Absolutely fantastic. All right, so you... He's absolutely nailed that. Well done. Yeah, so you look at him, you see, we weren't liked, and what you get immediately coded from that is, I am not liked around here. You are pretty sure you knew Otto. Otto was difficult to get on with, but he was even harder to dislike. He was just so innocently charming. He just a strong breeze would have knocked him over, and he apologized to everyone that he saw. You think that he was actually quite well regarded. You know that he was very generous with his books and would lend them out all the time, and he was pretty well liked. So it's probably not sort of an act of revenge in that way.
I'm going to remind my cousin that we aren't as close as he might remember we are, and that I am an intimidating sort, and I'm gonna, as he sort of says this, and he's just sort of looking out and just sort of saying whatever comes to him, I'm gonna kind of round on him and begin stalking towards him so that he kind of gets back towards some of the books. I'm gonna say, your father was a charming man. What have you been doing recently?
Ooh, excellent. Okay, can you make me an intimidate test?
Yeah, I'm good at that. And my character's more intimidating than I am, so I'm scary. I have 60 in it. Ka-chow. 23. That means success 2, under half.
23. Okay, fantastic. So you sort of round on him, and he looks surprised at first, and then supremely awkward, and he just doesn't know what to do. He's not used to having the power taken away from him this way. He succeeded with a hard success. Yeah. Like he's taking this seriously. He goes, I suppose I might have bothered a few people. I've been looking to buy some more land, you see, and this, and he gestures towards the graveyard out the window, is in my way, and it's prime real estate, really, in the middle of a city, in the middle of Berlin. How can this be acceptable? I've been commissioning to have, well, I've succeeded in commissioning that construction will be starting soon, you see, and then we'll be relocating several of the graves and moving things, you see, well, you know how people talk.
Did you serve?
No. I traveled south for a time. I was visiting business contacts.
And yet you would tear up the graves of those who did.
Now, normally here I would get you to make another intimidate test, because you are in this guy's home and everything, but you succeeded with a hard success, and you are an intimidating person. You are this scarred, and he doesn't know what to say, and he just kind of, he desperately, let's eat, you and I, shall we? And he goes to walk and knocks over a bunch of books because you had him backed into the corner. They kind of spill everywhere, and he sort of treads on one as he hurries to get out the door and says, it's all a misunderstanding. I'll explain it to you in detail, but for now I've had a lovely dinner prepared for us. Why don't we enjoy it?
I'll be with you in a moment.
Good. I'll just be down the hall. He gets out, and you hear him kind of take a breath, and it's exactly the same thought that you had. It's he's met this cousin at family events. He's not like that. What am I going to
it's going to be a long 2 days. All right. So as he goes down, he'll sort of, get out cutlery and serviettes.
Oh, well, he has to go all the way to the other house, so it's a
I want to have a little, I stand up to my full height and I go, time to investigate.
And you have no idea what to do. You kind of gaze around at this large room. You have no idea what's
I'm going to go, all right, I went to school.
Yeah.
I know books. I go over to one of the things. I want to see if I can connect. The books seem to have been taken at random. Are they from a particular theme? Maybe someone was like, no more fairy tales for you.
Okay.
I'll be taking these.
So now, you could rely on your education for this, but as we've discussed, your education isn't super in the field of academic learning.
Maybe library use.
I am going to ask you for a library use here. Yeah.
You know what my library use is?
What is it?
Base.
99? Oh, base.
Base. 20%.
Are you doing your curse rolling?
No, dude. I'm blessed. I rolled really well. I will spend 3 points of luck.
Oh my god.
To make that 23.
You're on stop succeeding.
A 20.
Well done. Okay. All right. So you begin to look through these books, and the first thing that you have to do is you basically have to figure out an order to this library that is here.
Yeah.
This isn't organized in the Dewey Decimal System. This isn't organized any other way than it's how Otto put his books.
Yeah.
But he appears to have a system. And as you begin to look through them more and more and more, you kind of begin to get a sense of how his system works.
Yeah.
And it's basically, he's just divided things by genre. One of the big things that you do notice is that Otto is not a particularly... a lot of the times in Call of Cthulhu, when you're looking through the library, you'll have and the ancient tomes of the esoteric. No, this is mostly fiction. There's several languages, but you managed to figure out the ones that have been taken they're a collection of sort of basically just entertaining stories. The Three Musketeers his is one of the ones that have been taken, because you can see that there's 2 other copies that he had, and he's taken one from like in between the 2 of them. It's fairly normal for people at this time to have multiple copies, especially with different translations and stuff like that, and kind of other stories like that. He's taking classic tales.
Weird. What was Otto's job? Do I remember?
Otto was a dilettante as well. He relying on his
well-educated, kind of trundling along.
He really didn't do very much. He kind of just read.
This is a nice place.
Yes, he had a lot of money, but part of his ability to maintain that money was that he didn't spend anything.
Oh, yeah.
This was his room, and this is where you'd find him all day. He'd just sit here, and he'd read his books, and he'd occasionally, family would visit, and he'd talk about his books, and that's it.
I visited here when I was much younger.
He occasionally worked as a writer, is the only thing that you do know.
The only thing I'm thinking, as I'm going over these, and I'll probably ask this of Thomas when I go downstairs, just in case I say it and you go, yes, that's right. Otto's missing. It couldn't be that he's returned to take his favorite books. Do I pointedly remember him being like, Klaus, when you're grown up, you'll get a copy of this. It's the best book. It's the cat's pajamas.
That's a very good thought, and as you begin to look over things, this occurs to you, and you come downstairs, and you ask this to Thomas, and Thomas wasn't going around getting cutlery. He has a live-in staff member who is doing that for him. A young woman who has sort of put everything together, nods at you happily as you come in, and sort of walks out, and he gestures, it's Katerina. She's just preparing our food, and there is quite a nice spread of clearly Klaus catered to, sorry, that's you are Klaus. Thomas catered to impress. There's like a full kind of set of huntsman sausages and stuff like that, sort of like some quite nice cheeses, some breads with sauces. There's a large bowl of borscht towards one side, traditional German, but very delicious. So there's a huge bread. He kind of sits down and begins. There's no way you will be able to eat all of this. Yeah. But actually, you've probably got a bit of an appetite. Yeah. Excellent. When you ask him about whether, so do you voice that? How do you say it?
Yeah, once we're onto the second course, as I'm sopping up borscht, I will say, the books that were missing.
Yes.
Were they your father's favorites?
Oh, I'm not sure which ones were taken.
I'll list them. I'll say Musketeers and any of the other ones I'm confident about, and I'm happy enough to just kind of guess it.
Yeah, he kind of stops for a bit and says, yeah, he was a big fan of Dumas. I think you might be right. Those do sound like several of his favorites. Rather irritating. I wouldn't have minded having those, but honestly, I've never been particularly enamored with books. I took more after my mother.
Of course. Is his mother dead?
Yes, I'm afraid. Quite some time ago when I was very, very young.
I'm sorry to hear that. Wait, shit. No, that's not how family trees work. I was like, is that my mother?
No.
I think your father may have taken those.
He looks at you for a couple of seconds and then... You're serious?
Well, they were his favorites, or something close to it. Who else would take them? He's been missing, has he not?
Well, I'm...
And he'd hardly be seen without his books. He loves to read.
Look, I quite understand that you have been in a rather stressful time these last few years, but this is Berlin.
What precisely are you implying?
I'm saying, no, I'm not. People don't disappear outside of wartime. This is Berlin.
Well, where is the man?
He's not coming back, is what I mean to say. I heard tales of soldiers at the front who would be, shelled and wander off and return after some time after being thought dead. I'm no pining widow or terrified mother.
He's not coming back for you. I came back for his books.
He looks a little sort of off-put and then kind of says, I'm actually going to make him roll something. Please hold. He seems to think for a couple of seconds and then goes, No, ridiculous. He's not. He wouldn't have abandoned me. And you do genuinely see like some hurt in his eyes. I mean, we didn't get along, certainly, but yeah, you're relatively sure it's not he's sure because he murdered him. He seems like actually quite taken aback for a second.
I bullied him.
well, although he does have a certain inassailability about him, and you also realize as he kind of broaches the subject more, he's about 6 or 7 of whatever that drink he poured for you at the start is deep, and he of leans back and says, and if it is, fuck him. Really, I couldn't care less about that old. If he's gonna walk off and abandon me, you know what? According to the law, this is all mine, and he's taken my property, mine, and if he comes back again, if he truly did run away, abandon his family, and cause us all a great deal of embarrassment and heartache, then you turf him out again. Clearly he didn't want us. Why should we want him back?
Suppose that's... Well, seems reasonable.
Good.
Well, listen,
healthy glug.
Yeah, I didn't mean, that is to say,
No, that's quite all right. That's quite all right, Klaus. Listen. We'll it's always strange being in a new place, but we'll put it all to rest. Tomorrow, I'm afraid I'll be out, but the day after, you and I suggest we take my car out into the country. I've gotten a hold of a couple of rifles, and don't let anyone know. And we could do practice some shooting. I thought.
Right. Yes. That sounds. That would be, yes.
You can give me some tips. And he kind of smiles to himself.
Certainly. Don't know how to shoot a gun. I'm not an apologizing sort of person, so I won't.
Yes.
But I will, sort of just let the dinner go back into a more,
regular, casual swing.
I think Thomas and I got on well when we were kids, and then didn't really connect much after then. Sort of thing. So I think we will try to. I don't think it's not like a spark or anything, but I think I will try to be more.
He's trying to. So I'm going to give you an advantage essentially. I'm going to make you to roll a charm check.
Yeah, I'm really not charming.
I get that.
All right, base 15. I have advantage, so I will roll this one twice. So that was a 60. That's a 70. No.
Okay. You know how everyone has a friend that they really, really unlike.
Yeah.
And it's very special, those friendships, because you just feel so unlike them, but you get along with them. This isn't that. You are very unlike each other.
Yeah,
and it becomes one of those situations where every time you try to get a conversation, he'll put up a topic and boom, nope, that was either you weren't interested or it was offensive, and you'll try something and boom, either he knew way too much.
He's
about
a bit of a dick, and I'm too blunt. If he tries to connect on fencing or something, I'll just say no.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not how that works. I'll tell you how it works. Now. First.
Exactly. He tries to lubricate the conversation with several more glasses of drink.
Yeah.
Does your character drink?
Yeah. Certainly. And I'm happy to drink, but I think it just gets more and more until eventually we're just sort of talking at one another about whatever we want to talk about.
It becomes exactly
and
that.
We're not really
You're just waiting for the silence when it's your turn to sort of pontificate for a while.
Just go back to whatever I was talking about.
And the worst bit is, just because I'm being cruel to you, it goes on way too long. You want to get away from him at about like 10:30.
But even then, I'm not trying to escape. I'm not a particularly good talker. I'm obtuse as well. I think we're both equally broad skull.
It's a family trait.
Yeah.
Eventually, mercifully, Katerina comes in, takes the plates, sort of puts everything away, nods to you, and Thomas stands up and says, "Well, I'd best retire then. It was good talking to you again, cousin, and I'll see you." It's the day after tomorrow, I think we said.
Yes, shooting. Yes.
And if you find kids, or if you find my father,
they'll be dealt with.
Not them.
Yes, they'll be dealt with.
Excellent. And he staggers away.
As I sort of do the like sit at the table, taking in a moment, I've got my little piece of pudding, which I only ate half of, and I'll jab a spoon at it. I'm waiting for Katerina to come back to do some clearing. I'm a little drunk, and I'm going to do some detective work.
Okay, fair enough. Katerina does come in, and she's sort of gathering things up. Are you finished with that?
Silence, Ryan. Well, you worked here long?
Just a couple of years, sir.
When did you Otto or just Thomas?
Just for Thomas, sir.
You didn't know Otto then?
No, I'm afraid he passed away.
Do you like books?
Yes, I quite enjoy reading.
Any in particular?
Well,
Three Musketeers.
I've read a translation.
Where do you sleep? Have you any personal belongings? Have you any other people's things?
She kind of says, can you make an intimidate check for me?
Yeah. Yeah, I want to make this woman cry.
Oh, God.
That's not my intent.
No, I understand. You're almost
Happy accidents.
An accidental intimidator.
I'm just a dick. All right, succeed. Ciao. Success one.
She sort of seems worried that you're about to accuse her of stealing, and she immediately yes, I mean I sleep in the upstairs in the third house.
Right.
I have some of my personal belongings. Yes.
The hobby house.
Yes, that's correct.
With the cars.
Yes, that's
all
correct.
the things.
Downstairs. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Well,
and if I wanted to steal something, I wouldn't steal books. There's plenty down there. His car, expensive things. I polish them, I clean them, I take good care of them, and I always lock every door because I know the people around here. They're a little strange, and they could steal, and I'm always worried. But he doesn't lock his door very well, and I go around after him, making sure that nothing gets nicked.
Yeah, they're very good. I think I've halfway through sort of zoned out again. I've had a healthy drink or two.
Yeah.
I'll step up, pull my serviette out from under my thing where it was tucked, and I go, very good. I'll see you in the morning. Breakfast. Here then?
Yes.
Spectacular. And then I'll leave. And as I get to the door, though, some of that managed to filter through. I'll turn and stop, and I go, what did you say about the children or the something?
Oh, there's
menaces.
Plenty of local louts and kids and all the rest of it out here. The parents are very wealthy and let them get up to all kinds of trouble, and they go gallivanting around in the graveyard at night.
At night?
Yes.
Oh. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
And I'll head back. And we're in the second house currently, so I need to walk back to my one.
Yes, you actually have to go out and you open a door and it's like a brisk walk. It's getting quite cool.
I think it's brisk enough to sort of wake me up a little bit from the healthy buzz.
Yes.
And as I'll go across, I'm going to go around the long way from the house and go in. Has he given me a key or something so I can get in myself?
Yes, he's given you a key.
I'll go in through like the wider doors on the other side. And as I'm opening them and fucking keys, I'll try to find the right one. I'll look over my shoulder into the graveyard behind me. Just a sort of a lanterns, ghosts.
Yes. Make a spot hidden check for me.
Wizards. Yes, I have 45 in spot hidden.
Excellent.
I'll be rolling under that.
Well, statistically, that's unlikely.
Statistic this. Bitch.
I like it when Jackson and Rachel are here. We're cattier. All right.
Yeah, 008. That's a success.
Oh my god. Okay. Well, very well done. So you begin to peer through.
Thank you.
That's all right. You begin to peer through the you actually kind of leave the key in the door for a second. You think you're seeing something. You begin to peer through, and as you're looking through the towards the graveyard, you realize there's no lights in there. Absolutely not. You can't see anyone moving about. But to your surprise, you can see actually there's what looks like a pair of heavy footprints. It's not raining at the minute. It's a very hot time of year, and the footprints head right over to the wall.
From the graveyard?
To the wall, yeah, from the graveyard. So the graveyard...
Here's the house.
The wall of the graveyard and the wall of the house are shared. It's the same wall, right?
Yes. So this is the house side, wall, graveyard.
Exactly.
It's gone...
Up to there. Then you can see scrapes and damaged ivy and creepers, as if someone has scaled the wall. and then it's come over the other side, and it has gone up, and you can see that there's like a damaged trellis on the outside. I'm loving this. This is a perfect illustration. And as you look up towards the window, you see it's broken.
Oh, mother of bitch! That wasn't broken earlier.
No, it was not. And the curtains are blowing in the wind.
Sorry, and it's the drunk looks. I've gone. And I'm looking up at it now, and I see the things going, and I go, devil! And I'm gonna shout, hold there!
Make a listen check.
Yep. Base. No.
Okay. All right. You hear no response.
Okay. I'm going to sort of scratch everything a little bit, and then I will open the door.
Yep.
And I will, with no attempt at stealth or subtlety, I will not run, but stride upstairs towards the open window.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to roll. Don't look into that.
Okay. Weird.
Okay. You...
I'm wondering why you rolled.
You tear up the stairs as best you can.
Stride.
And stride up the stairs and sort of stomp loudly, and you burst into the study, I presume?
Yes.
All right. The window is broken, and there are a bunch more books missing. Also, the small pile that was being kicked over has been put back neatly and stacked. Possibly, confirmation bias, early hypothesis. Be careful to draw conclusions.
I stand there looking at it, and then I'm going to hurry towards the window and attempt to see if I've just missed someone or if they may have been.
All right, you get to the window and you lean out. Make another spot hidden check.
Can I argue? Oh no, I've got those points on that.
Argue it.
No. Base 40. Yeah, success 1.
Okay, so you begin to scan the area as best you can, and to your horror, as you kind of like turn back, you see that the door to the hallway is open. It looks like you went into the study and someone crept past you. They were still in the house.
What the fuck? That's creepy.
Yeah, and based on that, you sort of sprint to the other side of the house, and you look out on the street, now tearing around along the street out of the cul-de-sac is a figure piled high with books, sprinting down the street as best as they can. And they take a sharp right and begin running along the side of the cemetery.
Fucking amazing. All right, I'm going to...
Now, for all of you who are watching on your computers, which is everybody, I encourage you to look up the Chaosium Twitter. We tweeted out a picture of this exact scene as a trailer for the scenario. So if you'd like to see some cool art from the book.
So I'm going to level a finger
I
at
have
him.
a physical copy in front of me. Close your eyes, David. I need to show cool things to people.
But I can also see it. Aren't I supposed to be looking at? Am I looking at this?
What's
happening? No, it's fine.
No, it's a little too
Keep my eyes
detailed.
closed.
Where is it? Where is it? Where is it?
Has everyone else had fun without me?
Yes, I think they have.
Okay. I'm going to level a finger out the window, and I'm going to bellow, "Thief!" And then I want to. Can we use the alcohol rules?
Absolutely, we
how
can.
Fucking blind
Yes,
I am.
all right. Let's do
Because
it.
I'm going to try and get this over.
Okay, so first of all, you yell thief, and the burdened figure speeds up, having clearly been detected. They're like, yelling. Now, the alcohol rules, so...
It's not in shots.
So alcohol rules were introduced in Pulp Cthulhu, Pulp being a setting which introduces a bunch of new rules to make the game kind of more mechanical, more focused, and easier to survive and stuff like that. Although there's a pulpometer, so you can do everything. And they were so popular, specifically those rules, that they've been rolled into Berlin, and there are now all kinds of rules for drugs and alcohol contained within the book. So first of all, we're going to say you had 1d6 plus 2 shots.
1d6. Oh yeah, cool. All right, 1 sec.
Worth of liquor.
Yeah.
Some in wine, some in beer.
Yeah, I'm thinking a bit of wine.
What do you drink? What's your drink of choice?
Can we take that? Can I Google? Like,
absolutely.
I want to find out. I want to find out what's of the time. Berlin popular. Because we're kind of posh.
The big ones, and you can see them inside the box.
Drinks? Can she make me a Moscow Mule or something?
I don't think the Moscow Mule was around at the time. Interesting fact about the Moscow Mule. Did you know that the reason it's served in a copper cup was because the drink's inventor, his father had stakes in copper mines?
He made them or something, didn't he?
Yeah, he was in copper mines, and he got the drink publicised to make more money.
I did know that. I realised as you were saying it.
Yes.
I should have pretended I didn't. Because it would have been more, I would have been like, oh wow, what a fact.
Elderflower liqueur, beer, and wine are the big ones in Germany at this stage.
Okay.
Cocktails are just beginning to become a thing, but you probably wouldn't get them in a private home like this.
I think wine primarily, and then I think just straight. Not even Scotch though wouldn't really be pertinent either.
Some would have been sourced, especially for someone of a kind of wealth and background.
I think mainly wine though. I think he's that kind of a guy.
Excellent.
He has heady buzz.
Yes.
All right. So sorry, a D6 plus 2 was it?
A D6 plus 2 shots.
Okay. That's 5, which just moves me into moderate consumption.
Okay, so you've had a moderate amount of alcohol.
Yep. Because if I roll lower, I wouldn't have even had to roll.
Now, can you please read out the rules of the moderate alcohol consumption for us?
So between 5 to 8 shots, it will last me 3 hours.
Yep.
5 shots. That's like 3 glasses of wine. It's not a ton, is it?
5 shots. A shot is a standard drink, so 5 standard drinks roughly. I don't know. Clearly, I haven't done my RSA.
I know. Clearly, also, I think technically it's a binge.
Usually, we have a bartender in the other room.
I know.
It'd be great to ask about this, but he's at a bar tending it.
All right, I'm going to make I will make a con check. James, are you listening?
Yes,
did I interrupt you?
I'm sorry, I'm drunk.
I'll make a con check. If I fail, everything increases in difficulty by 1.
Yep.
But I am temporarily immune to sanity loss of up to 2 points. I think the sanity loss is just... I definitely have the sanity loss.
How it functions.
Yeah, but that applies whether I succeed or not. The con roll is just to prevent loss.
Yes, you are correct.
Which is cool. So just to spitball here, if I knew something really bad was going to happen, and I also had no intent of being helpful, I could get blind, and then whether I succeed or not, I'd have some...
Yeah, you could stumble around and just be,
that is a success.
Okay, that is a success.
So I'm good.
Fantastic. Well, so you're managing to hold yourself together. You yell thief, and the holder of the book begins to run faster. It's quite a pile of them too. They're holding like a large stack.
I hate book thieves. I'm gonna give chase, James.
Okay.
And you know what? Oh, flip an athlete.
You are an athlete.
I'm going to leap out of this window.
You turn from the window, run back, and then power towards the top
speed. I turn for the stairs and I go, no! Because this little cousin had been talking about him being an athlete all day, and in my head it's kind of
it's a challenge.
I'm the athlete. And I get to the door, I stop opening, I turn around, and I run for the curtains. I'm going to leap through them.
Excellent.
And you know how it's going to be, because the window's like this.
Yep.
Curtains here. It's going to be hell atmospheric, because they're going to flare out like so. I'm going to power through. I'm hopefully not going to hit the cobblestone on the outside.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. First of all, you're going to make a con check, because we're going to proceed to a chase.
Hot damn. All right, my con is... I can't read the screen from there. 65. What if I fail? I'm slower, right?
Yeah. No. If you fail, you
I'm going to spend 3 points of luck to succeed.
Okay, fantastic. And what is your movement speed by default?
8.
Okay, so you tear for this window, and we're going to immediately start this chase. Okay. So you are actually he is quite slow, which means you are going to start the chase only 1 block behind him. I'm going to say this is because the first thing you did was leap out the window, make me a jump check.
Oh yeah. I like playing heroes that can do stuff.
Yes.
This guy is basically built to do things. Ask me anything, I can do it. Ask me anything knowledge-y.
Athletes are a lot of fun to play because you can give them swim, you can give them throw, you can give them jump. I
got the sweet, baby. Yeah. All right, jump check. How difficult?
Just a standard.
Okay, cool. Fumble.
You can do anything. You leap out the window and you land, and you could you land right in a set of decorative bushes, and you fumble, fall to the ground, and he's going to pull ahead of you by 1. Actually, he's going to make first of all Constitution.
Sorry, just quick. Wait, what's our fumble range? I'm over 50 in the skill. I got a 99.
You're with it, Fumble. I'm sorry.
So over 50 makes it 98.
Yes.
I think is our rule.
Yes.
Yeah, we play with more harsher fumble mechanics because Jamie hates us.
My understanding is that so usually at my table it's 96 is fumble. If you get above 50, it's 98.
Whereas raw, 96 and above is fumble, above 50 is 100.
I believe no, because I remember that getting 90 increases it by 1. So once you get above 90,
I think
you
those
either
are our
fumble
rules.
or 100. Really?
Those are our rules.
Okay, all right.
Well, I'm fine with it. I want to fumble.
Okay, I'm glad to hear.
I'm drunk. I've leapt out of a window. Don't kill this character, James. I just got it.
We'll see. We'll see how we go.
Also, my last one almost died from jumping out of something as well, so...
Yeah, exactly. So you're going to, first of all, it's not going to be too bad. You're on the second floor. You're going to roll a d4 of damage as you twist your ankle running.
3.
And you kind of slam onto the ground, scramble to your feet, and you begin to tear along after this character. You're now on the other side of the wall, running along the main road. Across the street from you is sort of one of those large open spaces, just sort of like flat ground, and he's tearing along, looking behind him sort of occasionally. You can only see this silhouette in the distance, and he takes a quick right and goes straight into the cemetery.
Oh. You're looking at it, you're like, the book says it.
No, it's not my fault. It's not my fault.
Sorry, I was looking at the fumble rules.
Please do.
Yeah, so under 50 is 96, over 50 is 100.
Okay, fantastic. So I was a bit... I'm vicious, but... You know.
That's fair. We're consistent. I'm going to yell, "Stop, nerd!" And then I will give chase. Okay. I'm going to... I was going to do like a sweet parkour vault, but I think my confidence is shaken.
What happens? You tear into the sort of amongst all the gravestones, and you keep an eye out for this person. And I would like you to make a spot hidden check to try and find where he's gone.
Yeah. Right. Okay, I'm alright at spot hidden. I think that one might have been one of the skills I picked up in military stuff.
Yep.
You know, because you do what is it? No, spot checks.
Oh,
like
yeah.
If people aren't wearing their uniform, if they have any dirt on them, I fucking slap them.
Fail. Okay. So you begin to glance around furiously. You cannot see where this person has gone for so long, and you kind of stand there. The seconds drawing longer and longer and longer. Your breath heaving, slowing down because you're pretty quick at recovering. And then there, you spot him. He's got another section ahead of you, and this time you begin to take across. I want you to make a dexterity check as you sort of leap across gravestones and move past them.
I kind of make a jump? Or... I don't want my many skills, James. I mean, my dex is better. I just want to feel like I'm...
Yeah, you're
smart.
You're going to be doing dex.
Right. All right. Success 2.
Okay. He actually did not do well on the last check as well, so you are back to one step behind him. So he's stumbling, he's falling. You watch him drop a bunch of the books, and he turns around and he picks them all back up and piles them and continues running.
As I'm running, am I just seeing like a silhouette mostly?
You can just see a silhouette at this stage, yes. You can make a second spot hidden check if you'd like to get some detail.
No, I think I'm focused on the run. Okay. I don't want to give up. I'll spot hidden him when I've fucking powered him into the ground.
Okay. Finally, he sort of turns around into the main section of the cemetery, like a thoroughfare that heads straight down, and he just starts tearing along at a top speed. I just want a flat constitution check from you at this stage.
You got it. Success.
Okay. You're slowly gaining on him. You know, this would be a perfect like a long shot, you know, two figures that gradually move, getting closer. At the last second, just as you're about, he takes a sharp left and he sprints and he goes straight into a large mausoleum, the door of which is slightly open. He ducks in and you see him go in. You can follow immediately if you would like, or you can sort of hesitate. He's just ducked inside this mausoleum. It's not huge. It's probably about the size of one of the houses that you've been at.
I think... I mean, it's spooky, right?
Yes.
It's power check maybe to like, or am I...
This is up to you at this stage.
Yeah.
This is what your character thinks. You haven't seen anything too terrifying yet.
No, but I'm also... No, actually, he's kind of... I'm looking to prove something to myself at least. I think I'll keep going.
Okay.
I'll get to the door.
And you tear in right after him. You sprint into the mausoleum, opening door. You walk in, and this horrid scent hits your nostrils. The worst smell you have ever smelled. It smells like death, like mold, like the worst thing that you left in your kitchen for too many days, and now is reeking. It hits, and immediately you almost feel dizzy. This thing hits you like a fist. You take a couple of steps in, and then you see the figure has got to the back of the mausoleum. There's a couple of candles set up around what looks like a small hole heading under the ground at the back of the mausoleum. It's sort of like dug and scrapped into the ground. Figure turns around, lit by candlelight, and you see a couple of things. First of all, you see that this is absolutely not a human.
Yeah.
It is a deformed creature. It has a huge pig-like snout nose. It's got large canine teeth. It is covered and caked with mold. Its hair hangs in loose drabs. Make a sanity check for me.
Yep. I have 30 insanity. 32.
Would you like to use some luck? Up to you.
I've used a lot. No, because I've got my alcohol shield.
You do. Okay,
and I'm confident.
Take a D4 of sanity loss.
Ooh. So is a 2? So the way it works, I think, is if it is a 2 or lower, I take none. If it is higher than that, I take the full amount.
Absolutely.
Yeah. 1. So
1. Okay, so you just stop and you stare at this thing, and your mind thinks, and then, unfortunately, I'm going to make you make a second roll, because this close, with this light, it's unmistakable. This is absolutely Otto.
Oh, really?
It is deformed and strange Otto.
It fell by a lot.
Okay, another D4.
3.
Okay, so you were hit with 3 sanity loss, and involuntarily, what do you do? What does 3 sanity loss look like for you?
I think it's I see this thing. It's kind of aggressive. I am a fight or flight kind of guy, and I default to fight.
Yeah.
So I square shoulders, drop down into like a fighting stance, like lowered knees, so I can't think, and I'm going to square up in the door.
Yeah.
And basically close my eyes, like not close my eyes, but like squint close, and begin backing up. But like, if it comes to me, I'm going to thump it.
Okay, all right. Now, as you continue moving away, you could just see him standing there. He's got arms held with books as he's watching you. You're backing away. You can feel some like pain rushing into your head. It's this smell. It's so bad. It's so bad. Make a Constitution test for me. Fail. Okay, you get right to the door, and you see him still standing there, and you realize he's just swept your leg. No, actually, you're just collapsing. You actually fall to one knee, and you see your vision blacking. You're actually passing out. You have a turn to do something, but you're going to pass out from this smell.
I fall to one knee. I can still see. Is he kind of just holding? Still like.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to sort of fall so that I'm hopefully going to end up backwards, and I'm going to kind of in shock to myself, and I'm going to go, Otto, and then drop backwards outside, and hopefully so I can try and keep some air.
Okay, right. You get back and you sort of turn, you slump onto the ground, and you see him approaching you, holding books. You roll up, and he's standing over you. And we'll take a break just there.
Oh, okay, great.
All right. We'll be back in just a moment. You can see what this ghoul does.
Oh, flipping rip. Sorry, I wasn't on the thing. We'll be back in just a moment. You can see what this ghoul does.
Excellent. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate you jumping in, and we can now get back to our introductory session for Klaus's history in Berlin, the Wicked City, and figure out what happened. When we left, you were wandering along, and all of a sudden, you spotted a ghoul darting into a crazy large cemetery. You chased it. I mean, it was a little more complicated than that. There was some books. There was some hiring. There was all that bit. Anyway, you found yourself in a mausoleum. There was a terrible smell. You saw your cousin, your uncle Otto, step forward, terrify you, and you stepped a couple of steps backwards, and then you passed out, unable to keep together, keep conscious. Now, passing out in front of a monster is never a good sign. Let's roll up a new character. You wake up.
I want to be a zookeeper.
You wake up, and you are lying on the ground, and you kind of blink, and you can see a box of sky above you, small sort of blue box of sky.
I sort of feel the back of my head.
You're lying in dirt. It's night sky. You can see stars up above.
I slowly pull myself up. And I do it slowly so I don't get like that spinning head. It's sort of a...
as you get up, you realize that you're in a grave. And the small box of sky was the sky. You're literally lying in an open grave.
I guess the adrenaline go a little faster. It's now okay, and I hop up.
As you go to hop up, you sort of gotten up, your head's just stopped spinning, you're starting to move, and a pair of long curved nails kind of come over the lip of the grave, and a hideous, mold encrusted half, like the hideous face I described earlier. You know, there's literally mold everywhere, the skin is see-through, pig snoutish nose, giant fangs, peeks over and looks down at you and meets your eye.
And does it still look kind of now? Does it still look like Otto a bit?
It still looks like Otto, yeah. Hello. You're kind of like heart racing. You've already rolled sanity for this.
Fucking thing. Yeah. Goes closer.
I am sorry to have scared you. I didn't know where else to put you. I will help you up. Grab my hand.
No.
Oh, okay.
Get back.
Oh, okay. And you hear like scuttling. He appears to have gotten back.
Oh no! Now, I'm gonna look around. How high up is it? The exit.
I mean, it's a jump. You're gonna have to make a climb check. Yeah.
All right. I'll sort of dig my boots into the thing and begin to scramble up. I'm giving it a healthy weight. I don't want to be up there in a precarious position, so I'm gonna sort of wait and then do it quickly in one sort of swift. Yeah. That is a climb one. Success.
Okay. All right. You haul yourself up, manage to roll. You're sort of getting dirt all over your clothes, but you haul yourself to your feet, and you're off to the side of the grave. You can see the mausoleum that you passed out in the distance, not too far away. You sort of, you've been carried or dragged here. As you presume, carried. Your clothes aren't completely destroyed. And as you look, you can see that in the moonlight, it's quite a full moon. Otto is standing there, sort of playing with his large sort of clawed fingers. He's clearly gone through some kind of transformation. He also appears to be a lot stronger.
He picked me up.
I'm
not massive, but
he appears to have picked you up very easily and carried you. He's got his book sitting on a small grave, kind of next to it, and he kind of pressing the tips of his fingers together, and he says, "I am so sorry. I scared you. You have grown so much. It's good to see you."
Right. I'm gonna hit a little German accent on this. We're trying it during the break, but all right. Okay. I'm going to say sort of well, you have a strange way of reintroducing yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not think I would run into anybody. I did not mean for anyone to see me. I did not think things through. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, you have been seen.
It's okay. I'm leaving again. It's okay.
Oh yeah. What happened to you? Why are you like this?
It's a strange story. I'm sorry. I took to walking at night. I took to walking, but there's nowhere around here, no tracks, and I started walking through the cemetery just to see something, and I would sit and I would read. I felt like I was keeping people company, sometimes I would read out loud, and then one day I noticed that there was something listening to me, something from inside, then he pointed to the mausoleum, something from inside there, and I spoke to it and spoke back, and that was years ago. And after many years, it took a long time for me to decide.
Decide what?
To go with them, to go and live underground with them. They're wonderful.
They're like this?
Yes, but they don't come up. They never come up. Not in hundreds of years have they come up, except to listen to me and then me to get some books. You see, I know they're moving the cemetery. I can hear the changes happening, and all I wanted was to get some books one last time before we move. We are leaving Berlin for somewhere where there are less people.
So you have become one of these mole things.
Yes, I have not, and he sort of puts his hand through his very little hair. I have not looked in the mirror for a long time, but I know that I have changed. But I'm very happy. I was not good with people. All I wanted to do was read, and now I can. I read all day, I read all night, I can see in the dark. I have no more need for spectacles. I read, and the only time I see others is at mealtime, and I was never a great enjoyer of food, and what we eat is fine, we cause no trouble for anyone.
You are eating in the graveyard?
No, we grow mushrooms underground, on the walls, and moss and mold, and it also was very unappetizing at first, I will admit, but now I can scarcely think of eating anything else, except perhaps I do like sausages. Kind of shops a little.
I think my headache's returning to his sobriety because he get close, right? Sort of kneed out a little bit, and I go, what of your son?
Well,
he is the one that is trying to, destroy parts of the graveyard.
My son wanted nothing to do with me. He never forgave me that I could not save his mother, and I did everything I could to raise him right and raise him well, and I waited. They asked me to come with them when he was only just becoming a man, and I said, no, I have a job and a duty as a father. But after some years, he moved away, and he said he never wanted to speak to me again. He never wanted to see me again, and I thought, well, perhaps it would be best if I just disappeared. He could take my house. I had no use for it. He speaks all of this with kind of pretty heavy, thick, he's clearly forcing it through a changed throat.
I sort of turn to the grave. I'm not looking at him, I'm looking down at the thing I was in. I sort of kick a rock into it.
Yeah. I'm sorry I put you in there.
I go, you're making a lot of sense. But you are... It's confusing.
I know.
Why are you... Pick up a rock and...
You kind of...
It's hard. I just go spike it. I go... Okay! You're a mole person.
You kind of put these hands down. Yes, I just wanted some books. So I just wanted some of my favorite books.
And you have them now?
I mean, not all of them. I took as many as I could carry.
I can carry some.
He looks at you almost kind of like shocked, and he goes, really? You would help a mole person?
Why was I in there?
I was worried.
You're going to eat me?
No. I wouldn't.
I'm not a mushroom.
You're not a mushroom. I wouldn't know how to. I wouldn't know how to eat you. I wouldn't want to. Or
why do you have such big claws?
It just happened. And he kind of...
Are they for killing?
Maybe. They're for digging, mostly. We can dig underground and we can find things under there.
Why do you have the... Is this...
It's to sniff. Find mushrooms in the dirt.
Oh! That makes sense.
How is Klaus feeling at this?
If I could hit it would be simpler. This seems... Yeah, what book... Did you read to me? When I was younger. I'm just making sure that it's you.
I read The Three Musketeers to you together. Then it said you made you want to be a fencer.
Yeah. This is why I'm a fencer. I look down at I'm just look around. Are there many more of you?
Not many. 6 or 7. But they have never been above ground.
And they are like corpses, like these, and they've come alive, or
No, they were people, and as he scratches, he sort of digs away bits of mold on himself. It's quite disconcerting. He says, they were people like me. They came underground, and they changed over time, but they left the outside world, and we just changed. I cannot explain it. An artifact of evolution? I do not know.
I don't think evolution works that way.
Well, I don't. Yeah.
I got arms just prod him.
He holds out his hand like for you to touch.
I sort of jab it.
He's still warm. He's not like he's clearly alive.
And his skin's kind of sloppy though, like. Or it's still there. It doesn't break away.
It doesn't break away. He's not like undead.
So you want to be dead?
It's not. He's not undead. He's but yeah.
I sort of.
Yeah.
You're warm still.
Yes. When I left, I brought down a blanket. I did not need it though. We stay warm underground. It's very warm down there.
Well, yeah, I suppose. Actually, how does cool air and I don't know.
If you would let me, I would take.
You should talk to your son. He thinks people are stealing from him.
Oh, right. And what could I tell him though? That I.
He does not need to see you, I suppose. I tell you what. We could get you a blanket, and you could hold it, and you could stand outside, and you could say, hello, son. I am leaving. Just some closure, I think. He is a little confused. He doesn't understand why you left. I'm not entirely sure I do either, but you're not my father, so.
I am worried that even the sound of my voice would be different. What if I wrote him a letter, explained everything? Would you deliver it for me?
Can you still write with your claws?
Yes, I'm writing a book.
What's it about?
About the wonderful things underground.
Yeah. That tracks. Wait, what's underground?
It would not be wonderful to you. It's
rocks and things?
It's for my friends.
How many of these things? There's 6 here?
Yes, but they read what I write.
Are there more elsewhere? These things?
We think so.
Why?
Because one of them, he's from Paris. He says that there are hundreds underground.
Why are there hundreds?
There are tunnels under Paris, under the city, that spread for hundreds of kilometers. And there are many down there. And in other parts of the world. Or so we hear. Okay. You need to roll a sanity check at this point, I think. You've held yourself together pretty well. This is new information.
Fumble! 100.
Okay, make an intelligence check.
Oh, fuck me blind. I think, Frostburg, hang on, sorry. Just for context. My trait is dreamer.
Yeah.
I think he's very confused, and he's kind of a hit. He's not really a. He's not a bad guy. He's just kind of, I don't know what's happening. This is weird. If he's happy, I guess. I don't want that many of these things. Yeah, success.
Okay, so you look. So what you're going to do is you're going to lose the maximum amount of sanity, which for this is just going to be 2.
Yeah.
Right. And your armor is actually going to kick in. I just realized. Actually, how long has it been?
Okay, I'm okay. It's 3 hours. I
rolled. Yeah, you're good. You're still a little buzzed.
I think I'm grateful for it. I felt over a flask earlier, but I think I carry one.
Yeah.
If I do them.
Yeah. If you need a drink, I can walk you home. And maybe take one more book.
Why would you choose to for reading? Did you just stay underground and do little else?
My world was never... I was never there. I was always inside a book. You know, and I swear to you, I know that it is hard to understand. You are a strong man. You run and you.
I'm a quick man.
Yes. Well, you are quick. You are an athlete. You have a life here. My life ended. I had two things in my life: my wife and my child. And when she died, and when he didn't want me, then I had nothing left. And that did not make me sad. I simply found something new. This is my retirement.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I think I think you should write a letter for your son, for Thomas. I think you should be considering moving. It seems that the graveyard will be...
We are moving. That's why I had to...
Where are you going?
We have found a truck. There's a man... a few miles down the road from here, who does not ask questions because he drinks a lot, and we give him some, and he will drive us. He will drive us out into the countryside, south, and we will find.
And you will dig tunnels with your claws.
Yes. We will stay there.
And you will not hurt people.
No, none of us want to hurt people. We just want to read. We just want to live.
Well, we'll state your... I think there is no case to make. So be it. If you want to live under the ground, have at it.
He sort of gives an odd, creepy smile, but he's kind of right.
I was going to say, because I think Klaus was going to be like, you've made your case well, but they don't have a case to make. He hasn't done anything wrong.
Ghouls are an interesting part of the Cthulhu mythos.
What?
I said ghoul earlier because I let that slip. You've essentially gotten quite close to the end of the campaign, but there's a lot to wrap up. But beforehand, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a D4 plus 2 Cthulhu mythos.
Don't mind if I bloody do, thank you, James.
For you to start off with. And what that will account for is that will be
4.
Well done. That will be your knowledge of ghouls. Ghouls, ghoul lore. Ghouls are really cool in the Cthulhu mythos. They are humans.
Kill these things.
Who no one really knows where they're from, but humans can become them over time. And they live underground, and they even at them they gradually deteriorate further and further and further and further and further. But they never. It's not and eventually they come to the surface angry. No, they even after hundreds of years, they'll lose the ability for speech, but their desire is always to crouch underground, and if they're intruded upon, they'll go away, leave me alone. But that's about it. They don't. Yeah.
I think as we walk back towards the house, he's telling me about this.
Yeah.
I'm explaining he missed out on a great little bit of trench warfare that he would have... really useful,
digging. Yeah,
it's exactly like, digging. I go,
digging, of course.
No, you're walking. I think I get along better with Otto. I always got along well with Otto more than Thomas, even though, again, we're not super similar, but this one is a sort of an opposite. He is interested in the things I do. I understand that he is more... I'm educated, but he
loves listening. He loves any kind of story, and he will listen to you talk about your life or about fencing or about any topic. All the topics you want to talk about, he just, wow, really? Oh, wow. And he'll listen. He genuinely is interested.
I think I'm not dilettante. I'm not as rich as these guys are. My family got the shorter end of wherever it came from. Maybe it came from the wife. I don't know. I think my parents are a little bit more distant. I have an older brother or sister who's a little bit divided. Yeah. They pushed me through college. I think Otto was, when you were young, he was like the cool uncle that I really, really liked and didn't get to see as much as I would have liked. So I think it's a bit of a hark back to younger years. And I think I tell them about all my achievements. Yeah. And I tell them, the war was terrible.
It sounds awful. I am glad that as I grew, I never had to experience that.
No. I don't. How can you and your mole people not want to attack and kill us, but we are so comfortable killing each other and ourselves?
Well, I suppose, and he kind of hesitates, and he goes, I suppose sometimes it disturbs me to think I am no longer human, and it must be acknowledged that I am no longer what people would consider a human being. But perhaps with that change, the desire to kill, the desire to hurt has also left. Perhaps it is something that is unique to humans.
So humans...
I could not say. I do not know.
A sobering thought.
I hear there are other things like me out there. Not like me, but other things that are not human. Some of them are not so kind, I hear. But the world is... There are many things just beyond the borders of our perception.
Well, Ewan, it was nice speaking with you again, and maybe it would be interesting to see some other stranger things.
You walk back to the house, and you sort of come in, and he comes in, and to your immense surprise, as you walk in, he like brushes his shoes on the door, and like trying to, and he goes upstairs.
I'm gonna keep them.
He sits at the little desk. He writes out a letter.
As he's doing that, I'm fetching the books off the wall that he was asking for.
And he sort of writes it out in detail. He puts it together. He holds it out the envelope to you and says, "I cannot seal it. My tongue. Would you?"
Yeah.
Yeah, and you seal it. He gets his arms full of books as well, and the two of you, you sort of put down a letter back at the table, and you walk back, and you get to there, and you've got sort of both got piles of books. You're carrying twice as many as him, and he says, "I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. This is wonderful. I have so much to read. I've read every volume that I had 100 times, and I have begun to get bored. And now with this, I will never be bored."
How long did you say you lived for?
Sorry?
How long did you say you lived for?
Under the ground with them? Well, almost 10 years now.
No, but you will live for a while. You said you have a longer lifespan.
There are some that say they are hundreds of years old.
Well, these books will not last you very long.
No, but they will last me long enough to finish the first ones. I hear as well that as we go, our memories begin to fade. And I can think of nothing more wonderful than experiencing the joy of first reading some of these again and again and again. He rubs his hands together as if you're sort of like kid in a candy store kind of thing.
Well, that said, when you find your truck, see if you can't write another letter to me, say where you're going, and if I have time, I'll bring some books, and I can leave them somewhere, and you can tell me how things are going, and I will tell you how things are going with me. And
I would like that very much. Thank you. You're a very kind man. You've grown to be such a... He approaches you. He's too scared to touch you, but he pats your shoulder enthusiastically. You go into the mausoleum, and he says, "Wait outside." And he brings in the books one by one. He puts them into this little hole at the back, and he walks out and he says, "I should go. It would be rude of me not to say, and I think I know the answer, but there is a place for you here."
No, I think I like the air, and I like to be able to stretch my legs.
Of course. He sort of steps into the door, and he leans out, and he says, "Thank you very much, Klaus. You what you have done for me, I will never forget. And we will write to each other."
Yes, I think we will.
And he nods and he shuts the door to the mausoleum, and it drags along. And you realize only now that the door is massively heavy, like he's clearly acting with the strength of 4 or 5 people.
There's a second where I go, I'm going to be really strong though.
And I go, and then the door shuts. And you stroll out of the cemetery. It's been a long night, and you probably get to bed only about 4. The next morning, you wake up to a knocking at the door.
Oh, okay.
And it's Katerina, and she's brought you sort of like a breakfast in bed. She comes over, and it's sort of like there's all the standard sort of breakfast there. There's like sausages, breads, and mushrooms, all the rest. And she sort of slides across to her. Unfortunately, I have some news from Thomas. He's had to postpone the trip tomorrow. He's had a work commitment come up, but he's sure that he'll find a time for the two of you to spend some time together.
Was he lying?
Make an intimidate check.
Yeah, like success 3. Almost success 3.
You kind of and she. Some of his friends came around, invited him to a bar.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I should be going. I don't think many more books will be lost.
Oh. Did you find the children, the street kids, the thieves?
I killed them.
Oh my. And she sort of stops for a couple of seconds, and then
poor sense of humor.
Oh.
No, it was No, yeah, it's dealt with, I think. A few more books are gone, but no more will be taken.
Excellent.
As I understand it. Would you deliver a letter to Thomas when he gets back?
Of course, I could deliver. Oh,
And I will write another one from myself, thanking him for staying, and I'll leave that when I leave.
thank you very much.
When is the train?
She organizes timetables for you and gets the rest of it done. You leave a small letter and you quickly sort of abscond from this
I
person.
think I read a letter as well, and despite whatever, because I don't read the other one. I don't know what Otto wrote, but I will write one thanking him genuinely thanking him for his hospitality. I will say I appreciate it was lovely catching up and lovely coming, but I'll kind of pan it to him. I will leave it on a better note than I had last night. I think Otto is a sobering influence and such a lovely mole man. And so I think I will attempt to make amends or forward pathways or whatever, what have you.
Absolutely, and you do, and the letter is delivered, and you abscond back to your home, and with a couple of weeks later, you receive a letter from Thomas, with we're insisting that he pay you for the hospitality, and he does his best to sort of cater to you as well. And you actually detect sort of a slight change in his writing. Maybe he's read something that's changed his view, but he seems quite
Maybe
polite.
got hit over the head while he was on his pub crawl.
Exactly. And he seems quite polite, and things are left pretty much as normal, and you go on, and a couple of months later, you receive a small, dirty letter scrabbled together and improperly sealed, and in tiny little writing, wavily as if a child's. It's like, "Hello, I'm doing very well. I'm having a great time. I'm reading all these books."
Oh yeah, based under a tree now.
Exactly, and it gives you an address out a couple of 100 miles or so from Berlin that you could visit if ever the opportunity so took you.
And fucking lovely.
And that is your experience with the mythos, one of the few ones.
What the hell was that?
Is
it was
okay.
so lovely.
That
It was
is
such a charming.
Paper Chase.
What a
And
I loved that.
It's a really interesting scenario, and it contains.
Because that's such a cool. We've done when we start campaigns, we often do, when Jamie runs them or vice versa, Jamie will have us be like, hey, pick an encounter with the mythos. And it's always like, my kid got flattened by an elder god, or my wife is insane and dribbling mad letters of blood. And this one, my character's going to go into the first one being like, they're not all so bad.
Yeah.
They're kind of something, like, genuinely, what a weird, like, I'm excited to do
with
the next
pictures
things.
as well.
Ah, he's lovely.
Otto is absolutely lovely. It's genuinely, Paper Chase is a really cool scenario. It's a great way to introduce people.
Yeah, I'm just imagining, because the next one we're going to go into, it's not going to be like, maybe they're friendly, maybe they're not just evil, and he's kind of got a wider world, and it's going to be the first time I'm playing a character that's looking into the wider mythos and stuff, because it might be good, or there might be nice, things and cool stuff, rather than just being like, we gotta flip and kill them before they summon the end of the world.
Exactly.
Bang, and then I'm sure that'll be rapidly disillusioned. And you'll kill my next character.
So you can get advancements for that, as you would normally. You can also, for stopping the theft and succeeding, you gain a D4. But for meeting and sanity, but for meeting and speaking to Otto and putting that at peace, you gain a D6.
Weird that you gain sanity for just stopping a theft. I guess I can rest safe now, knowing those books are. Flipping chat, plus 9. You know what that is? Better than where I started.
Well, with after meeting Otto, how could you not be?
Yeah.
We'll do your advancements off screen so we can see all the extra stuff. You'll also get a luck increase. And that is, from there, Klaus will come back into the story.
I'm going to work in film.
And we will jump back in next week with another sinister, terrible, and if the last campaign was anything to go by, bloodthirsty.
Yeah, if you wanted to see someone get mad and ape shit,
it comes.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. We really, really appreciated having you here. We've got something exciting to talk about, which I forgot to mention at the start of the stream. We are doing a giveaway of the Berlin book, a PDF that we're going to send out to somebody.
We were going to do it like one of these ones, but last week we had packs and so
exactly. We'd like to have Rachel and Jackson here so they can cheer for you. So we'll be doing that next week. So tune in next week if you'd like to be in the run-in to get a copy of the Berlin book PDF. Thank you so much for joining us. This will be going up on YouTube at some point soon, and you can catch us next week at 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, and you can catch reruns as well.
Yeah. I think
all
on
the
like
rest of
Thursday
that.
or so.
It's all in the information down below, so have a read of that. Thank you again for joining us. It's been great to have you here. See you next time.
Bye.